Every business records sales in one way or the other. They always record their sales. And now as a data analyst, you will often be tasked with the project of building a sales performance dashboard or a sales dashboard. Now, the whole thing about it is most times your data usually comes in multiple sheets in Excel, or they could even come from multiple or disparate data sources from a database, CRM, and all those things. But then, for you to be able to get this done, you have to definitely merge your data or connect your data or create a form of relationship across your tables or sheets. Now, the easiest way for you as a data analyst to do is to quickly get all your data just like I have in my sheet, sales, product, and customer sheet. Bring them up in your Excel and again, reach out to your old friend lookup function. You could use the VLOOKUP, index and match, or XLOOKUP. In fact, let us even try and use the XLOOKUP, which is the most recent one of all the lookup functions. Good. So now I have the quantity here, and for us to be able to build a sales performance dashboard, we definitely want to know what our sales is all about. So let us quickly get that. We have the quantity here, but we don't have the price or the sales. To be able to calculate that, we will definitely need something like the price. So I am in the products table, and you notice I have the products price here. So to be able to calculate our revenue, we will need the product price multiplied by the quantity. And you want to go there. Let's even pick two of these fields and bring them to the sales table. So I'm going to have them here. Good. So you want to reach out to your old friend XLOOKUP, and the lookup value, because we are connecting from the products table, we will be using the lookup value will be the product key, and the lookup array lives in the products table. So we'll go, we pick it up, Control Shift to the bottom so that we will get all the arrays. And then because I want everything to be, kind of open in case I add new data, so I'm going to make this open here, this open. We don't want a beginning and an end. Good. The next is the return array. We agree that we will be returning these two arrays with products cost and products price. So I will hold my Control Shift to the bottom, and then we have everything. Again, I want to take away this end. I'm happy with that. You can leave it if you want. Then I want to also say whenever there is no value that is returned, I don't just want it to be empty. I want it to return a 0. Mind you, this has to be consistent with your business rules. So I will close this and enter. And then you have this. Okay, so we've got the cost price and the product price. And this is supposed to be for just this particular value that we got. Now, for us to get it to flow down, you know what we do? We usually click here. When you double click it, it's supposed to flow down, but it doesn't. Why? This is a big data and we are connecting multiple fields. So all I want to do now is I could just drag it down to the bottom, but it's a long data. Imagine you have like hundreds of thousands of data. Are you going to keep doing that? So what I will just quickly do is to copy the function. And if I want to go, I could from here select every row and paste it, but that will select beyond what I wanted to select. Instead, I will start from the end. So this is the end. I will say Control Shift, this time around the up arrow, and what I want is everything but the first row. So I will hold my Shift key, the down arrow, to go one step below, and then I'll paste the formula. So it's loading. See how it took a split second, a few seconds for it to load. You see that delay? This is just a 10,000 rows of data. Imagine 100,000, 200,000, 300,000, what will be? Now, your lookup function, Excel functions are great. They are very impressive at whatever you want it to do. But until your data began to grow, which definitely your data will grow. And that is where we have that challenge. That is where it becomes so malfunction. If your system is kind of a low-end system, it's began to take longer time and even crashes. Even if your system is a high-end system, you're definitely going to start having that challenge of, okay, it's going to take time to load. It definitely will load, but it will take time to load. And that's not what you want. Just go take a cup of coffee before you come back. It must have finished loading. Is that what you want? That is business time. That is lag time. You don't need that. So this is where Microsoft team looked at it and said, no, we need to find a better way to do this. And that is what I'm going to do now. Show you a better way to get these three tables to communicate among each other and a minimal function to be written to get us this. Imagine how many functions we had to write. Now, mind you, we have not even done the sales. So the revenue, I could come here and say the revenue is this, and I will go and say equal to quantity multiplied by product price and enter. Again, I'm going to double click here to flash everything down. So you notice how many functions do we have here? This is about 10,559 formulas in one row, multiplied by 3 rows that we have just done. That's over 30,000 formulas in just one sheet. What if we have 100 rows? That will be over 300,000 formulas in just one sheet. That is not sustainable, not efficient. And this is where we are going to find a different path to do it. And this should be your standard, industry standard procedure for doing it. Now I'm going to clear this and go here, clear, see the clear, see how long it took to even clear that. Telling you how big, how large these little formulas that came together. Mind you, I've been performing calculations. So that means it takes time to perform all these things. Now, to be able to give us what we want and the right way, let's convert all this to table. Control T while I click inside the where we have data. So I will go Control T and get that. So I'll name it sales table. Good. Go to the next one. Create the same thing, Control T, and I will name it product table. Good. The next one is the customer, Control T again, and I will name it customer. Good. So now let's push on to the next one. Now, having gotten all these tables, we want to create a pivot table from it. Now, I am sure you're going to say, okay, is it pivot table? Yeah, I know pivot table is easy. We would have just done it. But then remember that we are talking about data communicating among each other. So let us go and try what we need to do. So while I select the table, while I click insert anywhere in the table, I'll go to insert and pivot table. Yeah, from this range. Now notice that it's asking us where do we want it to be. We want it to be on a new sheet. We don't have any new sheet, so we leave it there. It's going to create a new sheet for us. But now notice this. It's telling us add this data to a data model. And that is simply what it's telling you. Do you want this to be in your data model? And this data model is powered by Power Pivot. Now Power Pivot is the same data modeling capability you have in Power BI. So yes, that is the game changer here. We want it to be added to our data model. So we select that, good, and we add it. So this is added. It's taking a little time, but good. Now I will rename this new sheet analysis. Good. So let's go to products. Now in product, the same thing. We don't have to do anything more, but this time around, we want it to be in the existing sheet because we've already created new sheet. So we don't want it to have 3 new sheets, but we want it to be in existing sheet, which we have created. But at first, we wanted a new sheet for sales. Then that same new sheet is what we are going to use. This time around, it's called existing sheet. So we go and select it here. So let's just have it somewhere here and see, it's selected. Again, we want this. That is the game changer. So we select it. Then we go to the products. Then we go to the customer table, insert, and here. We pick it again. We want it in a new sheet. We want it in an existing sheet. And that existing sheet is the analysis. Keep it by the side here and we are good. Okay, so now we have it. These are all the table. On the individual level, these are all the table. If you select here, you see the product. Select here, you see the customer. But if you want to see all of them, you will need to come to all and select. But at this point, these tables don't even know that they really exist. If I get sales data, let's say I get the sales, the quantity, and then I will go to my product table and pick up the product name. They just give us the same value. And if you visualize it, everything will just be uniform. And that's not what we want, because they don't connect, they don't communicate. But notice what happens here. Excel is asking us that relationship between tables may be needed for you to be able to create this. Asking you, do you want to auto-dictate or you want to create this? So for now, we don't even want to create it. We want to go straight to how we should create it the right way. Are you with me? Good. Let us push to that point. So I don't want this, so I'm going to take off this, take off that. Good. So let us move in. Now we are here. The next thing we want to do is to go to Power Pivot and get the tables to communicate amongst themselves. So to do that, you see I have my Power Pivot tab up there and the ribbon. So now Power Pivot does not come shipped with your Excel. It's an add-in that you will need to enable. Good. So let us go. As we have this here, we need to go to Manage. Now, this Manage is a command under the data model group. Now, this data model group, when you click on it, it will open the Power Pivot window. We are still in Excel window. So when we click on it, it opens the Power Pivot window. And this is where we will do all the data model. Did you notice that we have all the tables we connected? Because at that point, if you remember, we say connect this to the data model. And that's why it is here. There's 3 of them. If we hadn't said connect it, it will not be connected. Excellent. So now, as we are here, notice that if you go to the bottom here, you will see the grid format for this table, for this data, and then you have the view or the diagram format. This diagram format is where you see how this table relates to each other. Another way to see it is if you go up here, you notice that data view is selected, which is the table, and then we have this diagram view. It is not selected. So for us to go there, we need to just click there, or you can click this button. So let's click up here, and you see we have all the data. Those are the 3 tables we have. If you want to see all the columns, you can scroll down here. You can drag it down and then drag this down. This is everything here. Good. Now, for this, you will notice that the product and the customers are our dimension. In the star schema model, you try to put a fat table in the middle and have all the dimension around it so as to create the star schema dimension. That's where the concept of the star schema is. So now, to be able to communicate with these tables, you notice we have the product key here, and we also have a product key here. Now at this point, all I need to do is to click here, drag it to that point. It needs to be the same key. So drag it there and release it. It has created a one-to-many relationship, meaning one record here represents multiple records in this sales table. The same way, I have the customer table and the customer key here, I still have the customer key. So I'll just click here, drag it to the customer. If you drag it on another column, it's not going to work. So it has to be on this same column so that it will recognize what you're doing. And voila, we've got it. So one-to-many relationship. And we have completed the relationship. They can now communicate on with each other. So to test it, so all we need to do is to go back to the table view. While we are here, can we try to perform that calculation we did in Excel? So to do that, we just need a new table. We call this calculated column in Power BI. So I'll double click here to give it a name. So I'm going to give it like revenue. So notice how it's just going to be one formula. I don't need to start bringing the table one at a time, the column one at a time. All I just need is to just create this column and then go here. As I have renamed this column, the name is picked up there. So I'll start my calculation. And that's going to be simply order quantity, because that's what we are calculating, multiply by, remember we are multiplying it by a column in the products table, and that column is the product price. So to be able to access that, we don't have VLOOKUP and XLOOKUP in DAX, because what we are writing here is DAX. But we have another function known as related. Because your tables are modeled, they are connected, they can talk to each other. It can actually go there and get the column for us. So we go related. Good. And that related, we bring up every table that is connected to this particular sales table. So we've got those two tables, customer and product table. Now all we need is this particular table, column, and yeah, that's it. And I will say enter. But before I say enter, I need to close that function related. Good. So I'll say enter. So wait for it to populate. Excellent job. And all I just need now is to format it. So I could just pick here and I want the British pound. Good. I've got everything I need. Just one column, it does that calculation that we had to put all the other columns from the products table into the sales table. But just one calculation, it does it. That's another way to make our work easier. But there's even an easier way to do this, which is using the calculated measure. This is calculated column. It takes a space in memory like the column space. Imagine hundreds and millions of data coming here. But then there is another way, which is measure. The measure only exists in formula until you use it in your visual. Isn't that beautiful? So let us go and achieve it. For this, we have done all our relationship. We have connected our data. We have done a calculation. This works. So let us close this. Here we have all the table. So you can see that. We can easily come here and clean this. Delete that. We don't need it anymore. Good. It's still there. All our data is still there. You can see that because they are communicating with each other. They are still there. Now let us do something. We'll go now to the Power Pivot, and instead of the manage, we want to go to measures. This is the calculated measure I told you about. Click here and say new measure. So I will name it because we have another column named revenue. So let's name this total sales. Easy. And then at this point, now this is not a column. This is a measure. So we will need to start using a lot of those DAX measure because it's going to also return a single number, and that single number is the aggregation. So that is why you need to use an aggregate function to be able to bring them together. So we're going to use a SumX function. Yes, there is SumX in Excel. This is SumX in DAX. Good. So we pick it up, and the SumX is expecting a table and then an expression. So let's give it a table. The table we are talking about is the sales table because that's where we are. You can see the sales table, and then the next one we have is the expression. The expression will be the calculation, which is the quantity multiplied by the other quantity multiplied by the product price. So we go and we say order quantity, type it, and because we are on this table, that's why I'm typing it directly. It enters. Good. Now multiply. Remember our related, because product price is not on sales table, we need to go and get it. So we use the related, and the related gets that for us. So we pick it up here, and that's it. I'll close the related function, and then I will close the SumX function. So before I run it, I will need to check here. Good, there is no error in my formula. Good, that's nice. So before I click OK, I want it to be a currency formatting. That's okay. So the symbol is pounds and the decimal is 2. I am happy with that. So I need 1,000 separator, so it's done it for us. Okay. And that's it. You can see it up here. Everything is nice. So if I copy this and try to create another pivot table, good. So this calculation is in sales. Let's go to product and pick up something like the product name. Put it in rows. See, now they are communicating. All the numbers are no longer the same. It is now giving you the correct number. The tables are communicating. No too much calculation powering this. And it's very efficient and fast. You can also communicate with the other table. Let's get the product, something like the customer first name. Good. So you can pick it and put it here on top here, and then we have the customer. The first name is Aaron, and these are all the product Aaron. Abby, these are all the product Aaron, Abby, and these are all the sales. If I want to give it a different view, I can go to design, go to report layout, tabular view, so that you have a better view of it. I can collapse this, and so you see everything in total here, and expand it. You see that. So this is how this works. Easy, simple, efficient, and effective. Now, this is a standard for you to get your data to communicate with each other. Because in reality, think about it. Excel functions are amazing, they are great, but they break every now and then. Imagine creating all the formulas and functions. You give it to non-techie persons, they pick it up and then they mess up the calculation. Why don't you come here, create everything you need to create, model your data, let them communicate with each other. Easily you can build your dashboard, you can build your calculation, your measure, your calculated column. You can also do your analysis in pivot table and everything will be correct. This is the way you should use it. Did you get value from this video? I encourage you to please give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you have not joined this family. We are growing. Encourage us. Share it with your friends. Don't keep this to yourself. Remember that within Power Pivot, we did not mention anything about data cleaning. That is one of its challenges, but that is where Power Query shines. Alright, I have a video on Power Query teaching you how to clean data. I'm going to have it in the description. Please check it out. It is simple, it is powerful, and it is even with less function. Everything well automated for you to do your day-to-day data analysis job. Now you can easily pick up that sales performance dashboard from your board and do a better job without being afraid whether your computer will lag or whether functions will break. This is the best way to do this. Alright, until I see you again in another video, please keep analyzing.